In this video, we're going to look at how to use the Discussions tool in D2L. The Discussions tool is one of the most important tools in your CCC Online courses because this is where essentially you have your classroom. This is where all of your conversation with students takes place. So there are a couple of ways to get to your Discussions tool. One of them is by going to Content, and here you'll see the list of table of contents for your course. And in each of your modules, you'll see the lists of assignments, which will include links to discussions for those modules. Now you'll notice that discussions are a pretty big part of all of our classes here at CCC Online, and they generally comprise a fairly large portion of the grading for all of your courses. So you can, of course, click on the links to the individual discussions and content to get to those discussions, but you can also get to the Discussions tool by clicking on the Assignments menu and clicking on Discussions here. And that will take you straight to the Discussions tool where you can see a list of all of the discussions in your course. So the first important concept to talk about here in the Discussions tool is the difference between discussion topics and discussion forums. Forums are essentially categories that your discussion topics will live in. So the discussion topics are actually the places where the discussions are happening, and the forums are just categories in which you can organize those topics. So in your course, you'll see that generally your discussions are organized in forums that correspond with your modules. So there's a forum for the Module 1 discussions, there's a forum for the Module 2 discussions, and all of the topics within that module are listed in this forum here. So again, forums are just a way to organize discussion topics, and topics are actually where the discussions take place. So you can see here in this view that we get to first, we have all of our forums and all of our topics listed. And underneath each topic you can see the description and the instructions. And then to the right of that, you can see a summary of the number of threads and posts in the discussion. So we're going to go into one of the topics in a moment, and we'll talk about the difference between threads and posts. So one of the first things that you'll need to do in your Discussions tool when you get your new CCC Online course shell for this semester is change some settings. And you'll do the same thing here that you do with your Dropboxes, quizzes, and other assignments. You'll set the due dates or the availability dates for these topics so that they match up with the dates in your course schedule. So to edit a discussion topic, you can simply click on the drop-down arrow next to the topic name and choose Edit Topic. So the first tab that this takes us to is the Properties tab. And if you scroll down here, you'll see the Availability and Locking Options sections. So this is another important concept to understand, is the difference between availability, or visibility as we can see here, and locking options for our discussion. So discussions are different from other assignments in the fact that while you want to make sure that your students can't participate in the discussion after the due date, you still may want them to be able to see that discussion after the due date. So for example, if the due date passes, you don't want your student to be able to create a new post, but you might want them to still be able to go in and read all the other conversations that they had with students after the fact. So the availability settings here, the visibility, is actually what sets the discussion to be available for students to access. So if you decide to make this topic invisible after a certain end date, the discussion topic will disappear and students will not be able to get into it or read any of the posts at all. However, if you change the locking options, what this does is this makes the discussion still visible to students. They can still go in there and read the posts, but it's locked so that they can't create new posts. So generally, this is probably the one that you're going to use for most of your discussions because it's still really great for them to be able to go in and read their conversations later. So in order to set this, you'll click on Unlock Topic for a specific date range. And then you can choose a start and end date for it. If you want students to be able to work ahead of time on the discussions, you can just leave it unlocked from the beginning of your course and just choose an end date on which it will be locked. So to change that, you'll click in this date field, you'll select the new due date, and then you'll set the time. And we usually set this to 11:59 p.m. because that's the end of the day. Now you can click on Save and Close, and that will close the editing options for this discussion. but we want to look at one other thing here, so we'll just click Save. So one other setting here that we want to look at, if you scroll underneath the description in your topic here, you see some options. And one of those is that users must start a new thread before they can read and reply to other threads. If you click this setting, basically what this does is this makes it so that the students are not able to read other students' posts and other things that students have contributed to the discussion until they create their own contribution first. So one example of where you might want to use this is if you have a discussion where you want students to contribute an original or new idea. So this option will make sure that students can't read the things that other students wrote and get ideas from other students' posts. It means that they'll have to create their own original post, and it will ensure that they didn't get any ideas from reading things that other students contributed. So again, once you've set this setting, you'll hit the Save button or the Save and Close button. So that takes us back to our discussion forum and topic list here.